Hello everyone, my name is Loco, and welcome to a best of 9 series of top level StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a Zerg versus Terran, where in the bottom left hand corner, playing in red, we have none other than ByuN, and his opponent with the blue Zerg pieces. He goes by the name of Roach. Now, I'm a big fan of both of these players. I've been really liking Roach's late game as of late? Sure. The problem is, this is a best of 9. Let me update the scoreboard. A best of 9 for the lion's share of $200. This particular match is a show match that Enki has put on, so big shout out to him for sending me these replays. We don't get a lot of best of 7s, not a lot of best of 9s. I mean, recently, I guess, and with recently, I mean the last 5 years, we have been seeing them more and more frequently. But a best of 9 like this is relatively rare. Normally, it happens at the very end of a tournament. And the point that I'm trying to make, right? If you are playing a best of 9, do you really want to draw the games out? Like, sure, if it's for, say, like it's the World Championships, right? And there's like $1 million, or I think last year it was like 750,000 on the line. Sure, you're probably willing to potentially put in 9 hours of work for that, right? But you know, for 140 bucks, do you want to absolutely tie yourself out? Probably not. I do hope, though, that we are going to see some longer, drawn-out macro games here, because I really enjoy the mass overseer approach, and Roach is certainly not somebody that shies away from it, but Roach is also a pretty abusive player. If he finds something that works, he will keep doing it over and over and over again. He's not afraid to go and cheese. Roach, we have a perfectly fine mineral line right over here. Okay. Right from the get-go, we're gonna make this a bit of a clown show. Yeah, he just took what I guess normally is the 5th base as the 3rd. Could be a massive misread here, though, for ByuN. The problem, of course, for Terran is that now you look around the other side of the map. He's only made 2. No, he's actually made 3 Reapers. The 3rd one right now joining in as well. But he has seen no 3rd base. And if you don't see a 3rd base right now, he's going to check the other side as well. You very likely assume that it's going to be some sort of quick lair, right? Maybe like a very quick spire or something along those lines. He's going to check. He will see that there's a queen in production. He's going to check the low ground. We'll see that there's no lair coming up over here either. Link speed is going to be done within the next 20 seconds or so those Reapers do have to be careful. But yeah, ByuN now sees the lack of everything. So how do you piece this puzzle together? Technically, this is a free kill, by the way. Like, if he would have seen this early on, he could have just killed it, even with the 3 Reapers, reasonably easily. Not going to be the case. Follow-up right here from ByuN, though, is a quick 3rd command center, too. I think he planted that one down before he was worried about the opponent going for a 2-base build. Usually, it's, of course, Zerg that is a step ahead. How are you going to transfer workers, though, Roach? Are we gonna, like, reset the rally points towards the top left? Is this where we're going to go? I mean, he's making drones. Yeah, the problem is, you kind of need to make sure that those Reapers are not there, right? Like, if the Reapers... And I quite like this here for ByuN. He's actually purposefully not showing them to that Overlord. But if the Reapers are out on the map and they can spot this drone transfer, it can also turn into a massive disaster. Okay. So ultimately, what Roach is doing is extremely ordinary play. But he's trying to make this look like it is something very spicy. I wonder if ByuN is even going to go for something like blind missile turrets or something along those lines. Because you do have to be a little bit concerned here as the Terran player for what Zerg could be bringing your way. He's already patrolling the Reapers here. A little worried for a potential Roach push. If you would go for like a Roach flood, the Roaches would show up usually between like 4:30 to 5 minutes or so, depending on the build, depending on the map. So yeah, ByuN is looking around, exactly on the clock, expecting some sort of Roach push, making a Banshee as well, and rallying it to the supply depot. This man is trying to be insanely safe, when in reality, there's no worries whatsoever. There's really nothing to be concerned about at all. Okay. Double engineering bay on the back of this right now for ByuN. He will, of course, have a good eco, but when will he be brave enough to send that command center down to the low ground? He is going to finish Stim. That's a big upgrade. Stim is going to make those units way, way more powerful. Medevacs right now on the back of it, and The Banshee that was meant for base defense is going to be used for scouting instead. In the meantime, the 4th hatchery is about a third or so of the way done here. Rogue starts up some blind spore crawlers, and he has found himself with a really solid economy. Now that he's got all of the mineral lines fully saturated, that's when he adds on additional gases. We have the lair coming up, we have the prioritization on the +1 carapace. I think this is going exactly according to plan right here for the Zerg, and ByuN still does not know about the proxy base. I think he's gonna notice, though, the creep spreading in the wrong direction. Like, why would the creep be coming like this? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, now he will know. Ooh, wow, we actually commit with the links? I don't think that's a good idea. Stimpack, of course, is very expensive. A couple medeffects do show up now, but up until this point, yeah, those stims have been costly. And I think it's too late. I don't think these Marines are really going to be able to achieve too much. He's trying his best to snipe down some queens, and he does get that job done, so that was actually better than I expected it to be. But it's too late to really start working on the hatchery itself. Carapace is going to be done here. Do we have a baneling nest? No. Dude, what if the top-level Zerg players been smoking lately? Like, none of these builds really make a lot of sense. They're skipping out on banelings an awful lot lately. Raynor has been doing this in, like, maybe not quite half his games, but pretty close to it, where he goes for a really rapid infestation pit, saves a bunch of gas, goes for a very fast lair into a hive, right? And then makes, like, 2 safety infestors. It's not nearly... in my mind, it's not nearly as good as, like, just having banelings. But I guess it's the surprise. Terrans never really expect that you're going to get those infestors. So, I haven't seen these games, dude, but thank you for making me look smart, Rogue. He starts up a hive together with 2 infestors. Exactly like I predicted. There we go. There we go, dude. Thank you. Thank you, Rogue. Appreciate that. No, but this has become more popular lately. The thing that worries me a little bit is that this is by no means a fast hive. Like, I mean, it's quick, but it's not massively early. Nice save there on the siege tank. It's quick, but it's not the fastest possible hive. And likewise, usually you still go for banelings later on anyway. So it's a little bit more efficient, I suppose, but it's also so much more risky. Right? It feels like you gain maybe 10% efficiency for, like, double the risk. Is that worth it? Yeah, maybe. In the meantime, though, ByuN is not really in a bad spot here. He's been defending his counterattacks very nicely. 4th command center right now coming up. +2/+2 also on the production tab. This is going to lead to ultralisks, by the way. Has to be. It's really the only thing that makes sense. It's the only explanation for the timing of the hive. And then the fact that he only got 1 carapace research. Oh, fungal. Oh, he's aiming for it, and he does get it. What's really nice about fungal, and maybe that's why, fungal prohibits any sort of movement abilities. So, obviously, things like, for example, blink are relevant, but you also cannot pick up the units inside of a medevac. There's the Ultra Cavern, and there is the Baneling Nest on the back of this, too. Yeah, I really do sound like I pre-watched this. I watch StarCraft all day, every day, guys. It's pretty much, you know, is what I think of most of the time. It's a good game, what can I say? Yeah, I think that's the only thing that makes sense. So, the medevacs being unable to pick up the units, it does allow Zerg technically a little bit more of a, I guess, a threat. But if you look at the supply counts right now, if you look at the worker counts, if you look at the upgrades, right? Like, let's zoom out and objectively pay attention to exactly what's happening here. This is by no means a bad spot for ByuN. ByuN is playing the most conventional style you can go for. Oh, well, Fungal does deal a little bit of damage. Do you just Fungal it again? Okay. A little awkward. I think we could have tried to boost home, but fair enough. Yeah, is this actually good for Rogue? So he's got Ultras coming now. But I don't think I like this build. Like, why try to fix a recipe that's not broken? Like, we kind of replaced a bunch of the ingredients with worst, like, versions of it. What's the point? It's like those random YouTube recipes you come across every once in a while, you know, where it's like, we have spaghetti carbonara that's vegan. It's like, brother, like all the ingredients other than the pasta. Anyways, big push right here coming in from ByuN. Maybe there's really good vegan carbonara out there. I don't know. Pushing the top left as well. But ByuN is having a grand old time. The Ultras are out. The Infestors are kind of YOLOing forward. We do have a nice counter-attack here. But ByuN is skyrocketing ahead. And he is making all the safety precautions for this game as well. So he's got the extra starports coming up. He's building up an additional command center. He's got that planetary fortress, of course, at the bottom. Already 15 confirmed kills. This is, yeah, stock standard StarCraft here for ByuN. A little bit of experimental play here from Rogue. And evidently, ByuN is not impressed. Actually, for Christmas, I was researching different tiramisu recipes. And I found out there's a lot of different versions of tiramisu out there. You know what I also learned about tiramisu? When do you think tiramisu was invented? Like, when do you think this became a regular dessert? I feel like all Italian cuisine is hundreds of years old. Apparently, it's like the 1980s. Like 70s or 80s, I don't recall exactly. But it's, as far as desserts go, basically a baby. Yeah. Fungal growth is going to be the way to go right here. For ByuN. That's what I learned. I looked up the history. I'm a nerd, okay? Like, yeah, I don't know. Why would you watch the history of Terran? But it was interesting. Nice little counter-attack, though, with these links. This is becoming, honestly, very important for Rogue. He needs to do something. Because he keeps losing way too much. It's not really that many workers going down. It's really just a strategy of choice. These Marauders are having a good time, by the way. They've been wedged between the mineral and then that Vespian gas geyser for ages. Spire coming up. This is looking like one of those games, though, that Rogue is somehow, some way, magically turning his way. Like, this is not... I don't think this is a good game for Zerg at all. But I've also learned over the years to never count Rogue out. For some reason, we've made this game very difficult. He doesn't really have any advantage whatsoever, and I think that ByuN is doing all the right plays. But this is still a Zerg with a good enough eco, and definitely a good enough army, to contest most of the Terran. One medevac goes down, second medevac is also going to fall. Third medevac, fourth medevac, counterattack in the meantime on the left. What is nice for this type of Zerg unit comp is that it's relatively easy to micro, right? Terran needs to really micro their butts off in order to actually optimally fight these sort of things. Zerg obviously needs to fungal, you need to make sure the banelings don't roll into Marauders, but if you attack move this type of unit composition as the Zerg, it works about 80% optimally. These ultra counterattacks, man, what in the world is this? Don't tell me this is actually a Rogue win. What? Optimalize. I would like to bring this in as a new English word. The English language doesn't make any sense anyway. The English language is like 17 languages in a trench coat. It's one of the things I've learned learning English already. It doesn't make any sense. I would like to dub the word optimalize. I think it should be totally reasonable. Liberator counterattack right now coming in. We do have a Spire, though, for Rogue. I would love to see a handful of Corruptors. We currently don't have any. This base, though, has just been impossible for Rogue. Trying to take it so many times already. Rogue did drone up, by the way, to 83. I love this Liberator here. That Liberator is going to be a gigantic pain. Ultra counterattack yet again. Fungal, fungal, fungal. Dude, what's happening? Is Rogue doing this? You know, one thing that is happening in this game, ByuN is not going ghosts. This is something that ByuN sometimes does, where he just refuses to. He did go Liberators, though, so this is not entirely, you know, a trip to the circus. But it is a little silly. No, I think that was too bad here for Rogue. That was too expensive. He's down to only 69 workers. Some might say that's nice, but I don't think it's optimal. Push comes in right now through the center. I love this move here, actually, for ByuN. Gets a free infestor as well for his troubles. That's good. A lot of Lingbane is still out, but if you look at the supply counts right now, yeah, this game is over. GG. To be fair, the Dutch language also doesn't really make any sense. But that's what I grew up with. So there you go. You know, one of the really dumb things about Dutch, this is something that people like that try to learn Dutch at a later age, they can never really figure the thing out. So we have multiple words for the word the. If you speak English, yeah, there's only one version of the word the in English. The only way in which you can figure out which of the versions of the you have to learn is by just learning all the words. Yeah, just learn all of the Dutch words and figure out whether or not it's a de or a het. Just learn all of them. Like if you want to say the bicycle, het fiets. No. That is de fiets. This is... I can't tell you why, though. I have absolutely no way to tell you why. I don't think there is any consistency whatsoever. Interestingly enough, I have learned, apparently, that people that, like, learn Dutch at a later age are generally better at grammar than Dutch people are. Especially for, like, different... what do you call this? Like, the different tenses for verbs. Most Dutch people just sort of YOLO those. Sometimes it's a D, sometimes it's a T, sometimes it's a DT. Nobody knows, everybody just guesses. But apparently those rules make a lot more sense. Now what also makes sense in this game though is Roach taking his third hatchery in the normal spot. Yeah, he tried to be smart about it in the previous game, and then he was smart with it, and he got away with it, but he still did not pull ahead. Right? So, like, you want to pull off a trick, you successfully get it done, but you're still not in a position where you're actually at an advantage. Is it worth it? Maybe. It could be worth it, I guess, if now ByuN is going to be playing overly safe. Not the case at all. Third command center already coming up. We've got Hellions. We don't have a starport. Where's the starport, ByuN? We'll have to keep an eye out on exactly what the follow-up is going to be right here for ByuN. Skipping the starport and skipping the extra barracks. Yeah, just straight Stimpec. Okay. We'll go into good old barracks here in a moment, I'm sure. It's going to be an odd timing on Stimpec, though. He's not going to have a lot of units that can actually make use of it, so I feel like if you want to time this Stimpec with, like... Yeah, now we go for the extra Rex. It's just a good old triple Rex. It's a build that ByuN is quite fond of. We see him play this from time to time. I don't think it's that good. But anyways. Marine on the perimeter is going to be able to shoot down Otto. Say goodbye to Otto. But Otto got the job done. He scouted for the Zerg. And Roach figured out exactly what he's playing against. This is the type of build that is good against like Roach all-ins or like early game aggression or something along those lines. Not a whole lot that Zerg can really do about it. But this is also a clear indication right now, though, for Roach that he needs to be a little worried about Hellions and whatnot. Like, this is basically the Hellion run-by potential. But there's not going to be any Banshees. He doesn't really need to make Spore Crawlers. He doesn't really need, like, super quick baneling speed or anything along those lines. It's basically a free pass right here for Roach to, yeah, keep the macro going. I wouldn't even mind seeing a fast fourth hatchery. Maybe we're going to be heading in that direction here in just a moment. Double Evo Chamber, okay. Carapace first. Fair enough. Double upgrades here as well happening for ByuN. For some reason, by the way, these games are not hosted with the Observer perks. You know how, like, most of the time when I cast games, there's a little visual indicator on all of the structures about what they're currently researching and producing. I've seen some questions about this. This is actually something that you need to host the lobby with. So when you make the custom game for StarCraft 2 and you invite the players, usually it's the host that needs to do it, you have to add like an extension mod to StarCraft 2, and that's where all the fancy observer features come from. I cannot enable them after the fact, and since I'm casting from replays here, I cannot give those magically to the game right now. It's okay, though. This is basically, this is just default StarCraft. This is as Blizzard intended. AKA God. As God intended. AKA Blizzard. Armory right now on the back of this for ByuN. Bailing Nest on the back of this right now for Rogue, who still did not start up a lair. Normal timing, if you want to go double upgrades for Zerg, is to go double upgrades, right? You go lair, about 5 minutes or so, and then you go then you go Bailing Nest. Now we're going double upgrades, Bailing Nest, and then like a 6-minute lair. I mean, I don't think you need super fast bailing speed here as Rogue, but you're now not gonna get it until the first big Terran attacks are moving across. Honestly, we're not even gonna have slow bailings in time at this rate. 5th hatchery already building here for Rogue. Dude, Rogue is reinventing the wheel. But he's making it, like, slightly oval. It doesn't... I don't get it. Why are we... We figured these things out a long time ago, Rogue. Square wheels makes things better. Well, he does have a lot of queens. These Hellbats, though, are putting in some work. There are some slow banes coming up. And this will be a defense here for Rogue in the end. It's just a harder defense than it needs to be. Yeah. And therefore more costly. And what's the advantage? There is none. In case you're wondering, yeah, there's no advantage here for Zerg. Getting that Bailing Nest that early and the lair that late, and then the Bailing speed also at that late. There's nothing. Anyhow. Rogue defense with pretty much pure Queen Ling. And he is going to arrive at a relatively normal mid-game eventually. Now, we do have a little hit squad here for the Terran, stimming across, trying to go after this hatchery. Plenty of medevacs, though. Time to pick up the boys. Hydralisk then again on the back of this here for the Zerg, too. Yeah, ByuN is playing really good. I like what ByuN is doing way better. I think the only criticism, I guess, is we see this all going down. It's a bit of an overextension, but he just wants to kill queens. He's also busy fighting over here. My only criticism, I guess, is that he never got Ghost going in the previous game. I think that would have been the go-to, the no-brainer, but he didn't need it. Oh, these are all extremely efficient drops, though, here by ByuN, who's now lining up a big attack up north. Look at the cost efficiency. 1,200 minerals or so lost more on the side of the Zerg. And while 82 workers, 87 workers soon, are going to make the difference over time, up until this point, ByuN is getting all the value. What about the fight over here? Some Widow Mines in the mix. Ooh, he unburrows the Widow Mines. Does not want to accidentally deal damage to his own units. Good pickup there yet again. How about the push over here? A couple of Hydras. Ooh, no micro on these units. And that means that ultimately everything Terran here will likely die, except for the medevacs. But I mean, that was still a pretty decent trade. Neither player microing. Widow Mine over here, though, in the mineral line, too. This is... Yeah, this is messy from Rogue. Rogue trying to reinvent the wheel for really no particular gain. Yeah, he's getting torn apart. I guess this is a good example as to why the standard is the standard, right? Like, I talk about the standard and the meta all the time. It can be a little bit of like a vague term, I suppose, if... Oh, GG gets cold. If you haven't watched a ton of StarCraft, but ByuN basically played the most ordinary opener here as Terran possible. Maybe like the late starport and, you know, the quick triple Rex. That's a little bit out there, but it's certainly the current meta. Alrighty, next up, the map Mothership. ByuN is probably wondering why these games are relatively easy. Is Rogue half asleep? Why is he going for strategies that, broadly speaking, look mostly normal, but then are all suboptimal in the end? I don't think a build order is good when you lose to the most normal attacks. You know, like if you're surprised by a Marine drop. Or, okay, I guess a Hellbat push is not every game, but it's still fairly common. I think if your fresh build doesn't work against the most standard openers, it's probably not that good. And that is the truth of ZVT, right? So we see players like Hero get away with a lot of meme builds in Protoss versus Terran, Protoss versus Zerg. He goes for a lot of funky stuff. There's no denying that Protoss is a little bit more flexible in that regard. I think this matchup, ZVT in particular, is just very mechanical. It's all about who is... I mean, if you want to determine, I genuinely think this. Like, this is not a very strategic matchup in the sense that, like, you can't really execute tactics to a crazy level. I mean, obviously you can, but it's not as crazy as, like, say, PvT or PvZ. But it's all about mechanics. It's all about just being really good at doing many things really rapidly. If you're really good at Zerg versus Terran, it probably means, as a Zerg or as a Terran, that your mechanics are solid. Likewise, if you really suck at this matchup, but you're good at the others, it probably means that your mechanics are not. Anyways, Roach Warren build this time around for Rogue, and I guess he's faking a third. I guess what we're doing is a good old all-in. Or at least something that looks like it. Yeah, he's hiding right now with the drone. ByuN is wondering, though, why this third base did not happen. He's hunting down the worker. But 7 roaches are coming already. Somehow, some way, this has been entirely scouted. This has not been scouted at all, despite the fact that it's a double Reaper opener. ByuN going into the very quick Stimpack once more, but look at the roaches. 10 of them are coming. We're gonna drone on the back of this? Okay. A good old Roach rush. Is this bait? Oh, no, it's bait! Otto! Otto, you're bait! I'm so sorry, man. Roke is a fisherman. He was probably hoping you were gonna hold out a little bit longer. Man, Otto died for nothing. He could have just stuck on that pillar for a while. It is apparently inspiring the Terran troops, though. And I don't think you're gonna have a good time here as a Marine. Stimpack is coming. Combat Shields is on the horizon. But there's already so much Zerg here. Wait, is this actually fine, though? It's just a lot of Marines. SCVs are gonna get pulled. Stimpack is now finished. Combat Shields is now also... Or no, sorry. Stimpack is about to finish. Combat Shields is coming. It's a lot of losses on the side of the Terran, but it's not insurmountable. Problem, of course, for Rogue is that he committed heavily into this attack. So... what do we do now? Macro? I would really like to see ByuN go for a move, actually. Like, he's got Stimpack and Combat Shields done. How many units does he have? Okay, not a whole lot. Usually when there are 3 barracks out, the production does go up pretty quick. I like these forward bunkers a lot. The forward bunker feels a bit weird, but it is the preferred place to be fighting, right? You want to be fighting these roaches in a concave. Rogue is doubling down, by the way. Wait, so he's making a ton of links. There is a single Evo chamber. Maybe he does want to go and play a normal macro game, but it is more Zerglings than I think you absolutely need. I think he's expecting a move out here for ByuN with Stimpack and Combat Shields. Basically, the move out that I was suggesting is, I think, the one that Rogue is hoping he's playing against. Not what he's going up against, though. ByuN is just chilling at home. Problem here, though, for Terran is that there is no third command center, right? So this is a 2-base build. And with 2-base Terran, your eco is decent, but you don't get that third mule dropping. And the third mule is incredibly nice. ByuN is going to check how much income there is. He sees no workers at all. I think that's giving him quite a bit of info. We did see a scan. Where's the scan? Okay, he scanned the natural. You will see a drone pop. Yeah, he sees a drone transfer right now from the natural and the main to the third. And this is going to prompt the Terran army to move out. A very strange and scrappy game. How many lings are there? There's 31 Zerglings. A bunch of queens available too. Can Rogue actually fight this? I think if Terran waits for too long, he's just gonna get surrounded on every single one of these units. We're gonna fight on creep as well. The queens are ready. Do we go home again? Man, this is a weird game. I think ByuN looked at that one time. He's like, nope. I don't want to have to deal with the queens. If the queens are in a line like that, I'm probably going to get surrounded. I'm walking into a trap. Let me go ahead and move back. Zergling's thinking about going in for the counterattack now. I feel like if you're really good at the game, you actually retreat. I never retreat, dude. This is one of my big problems. I tunnel vision super hard when I play StarCraft. I'm like, I've committed to the attack. I must commit to the attack. Right? Like, that's me. I play like a donkey. ByuN actually retreating, though. I feel maybe this is just my problem. I don't know. But I feel like retreating usually is indicative of high-level play. Either way, he's found a better angle now. And there are, of course, medevacs, so at least the majority of the units can go home. What a weird game. We basically traded out a bunch of units. That's what we ended up doing here. There's still a lot of lings left over. Jimmy tried to reinforce the units on the other side of the map. Still no third command center landed, though. That one's now in the main base. Baneling speed on the back of this. Infestation pit on the back of this, too. Okay. So we're just doing... Never mind. We're not doing any of that anymore. I thought we were going to play a normal macro game. Rogue decided, nope, we're not. Cancels the infestation pit and goes into a Hydra den. A little bit of indecisiveness here by the players, and I can't blame them. This is one of those games, right? Even when you play, in their cases, tens of thousands of matches of ZVT. This is the type of game you've never seen before. Like, how many chess moves does it take, on average, to get a completely unique game? I don't really know what the numbers are, but... This is one of those things where... Yeah, you may have played many matches. You may have had some that kind of resemble this, but this is a bit of an oddball. Both players trying to sprinkle in a few upgrades from time to time. Bane speed is going to be done. Hydraling Bane is always a go-to unit composition that's good. I like how players fall back, though, to the default, right? So... We go Marine Marauder Medevac here against Hydraling Bane. There's some Widow Mines in the mix. There's some Queens in the mix. We may see an Infestor or two at some point, but just the good old basics again. Factory number 2. No fourth command center yet. I think we'll probably go for one eventually, but yeah, it does feel a little bit scary. A lot of Terran units are out in the middle of the map. It's a little sloppy here, honestly. I think ByuN should not be giving up these units too easily. Yeah, still, it's a lot of dead Zerglings. +2/+2 fires up here for ByuN. Careful, though. He is on the edge of the creep. Banelings starting to slip through. Honestly, I feel like ByuN has been losing a few too many of those medevacs this game. It's only 2 in total, but quite a few units also got picked up late in previous engagements. It's not the end of the world. But it's easy for these sort of things to pile up. And it's one of the things that usually ByuN is very sharp with, right? So this little pickup over here was smooth. Okay. Double E for Chambers. Researching hard here for Zerg. No infestation pit, though. So therefore, no hive. Oh, it's coming now, but... Not anytime soon. Rogue is going to commit to a very Zerg versus Protoss-esque type of push. Widowmine's not actually burrowed, though, and that may make this a very viable attack. Ooh, you know what? Without the Widowmines in this fight at all, because they're dying before they can ever detonate, this may work out really well for Rogue. Oh, no, the Medevacs! I think ByuN is starting to fall asleep. We're only in game number 3. Next up, we find ourselves on the map Tourmaline. Turns out, not having your Widow Mines burrowed, and then flying your medevacs that are full of Marines and Marauders over a bunch of Hydras is not ideal. I know. I know. That is the wisdom that you guys join my YouTube channel and my live stream and all that for, right? That's the type of, yeah, mistakes were made here by the players. Now... This is, of course, a best of 9, meaning that the first player to win 5 maps will be the victor. And if we're gonna start seeing sloppy moves like that in game number 3, I'm kind of excited to go to like a game 9 if that's a possibility at all, because I feel like it's gonna be an absolute mess. Oh. Oh. That was also not ideal. Yeah, it can become an absolute disaster really quickly when you can tell that the players are getting a little bit tired. I have no idea what time this particular series was played at. I sometimes see the argument, this is actually quite common on like the forums or on Reddit or whatever, where people are like, well, the grand finals of the tournament is played at 11 p.m. How is that fair to the players? They have to stay up until like midnight? Bro, that's like prime pro gaming time. I don't believe there's a lot of pros out there that live the healthiest and very most optimal day-night rhythms as it is. Now, I'm sure they exist. I'm sure they are out there. I'm sure Cyril does. I think probably one of the reasons that Cyril doesn't play in a lot of the weekly cups is because many of the hours are not great. Cyril's probably in bed by like 10, but many pro gamers also became professional gamers because they were playing games a lot. And probably at DGen hours, right? Like that's... At least a lot of the gamers I know don't necessarily spend their teens, their 20s going to bed at reasonable times. But who knows? It can technically... It's part of the deal, right? If you want to be a competitor in a tournament, it's part of the deal that sometimes you're going to have to work at hours that aren't going to be optimal for you, specifically, but I don't think 11 p.m. is a problem for pretty much any of them ever. Anyways, Roach speed really quickly here this time around for Rogue. Opening with a super fast lair. Evo chamber is delayed though, so if you go +1 missile now, or +1 carapace, it's all out of line. It's kinda wacky here. Usually, if you want to go for a Roach timing attack, you go for the evolution chamber before the Roach Warren. Yet again, a weird start here for Rogue. If you go for timing attacks, usually the premise is that you try to line them up. These are not in sync whatsoever. And it's not easy to actually get them out of sync. Like it's a pretty straightforward build. It's usually the first strategy that Zerg players learn. Either way, it's a lot of roaches, and I think Rogue is gonna start marching in a moment. What do we have in the meantime on the other side of the map? God, for some reason we're building all the production over here on the low ground, and then the command center in the main. Armory on the back of this, though. None of this is particularly problematic for ByuN. It just looks kind of ugly. Lucky for him, we don't get any stall points for building aesthetic bases. Here's the Roach counterattack. Honestly, this game can be over before +1 armor finishes. It's a lot of units, and they all benefit greatly from +1 carapace. Now, this fight will take place right before Terran finishes up Stim and 1-1. This is... This is one of the dumbest games of StarCraft I've seen this entire year so far. 2 games of StarCraft 2 that I think the players would like to forget. Now, Rogue did win both of them, but not necessarily in a way that I think he can be too fond of. It's just a very strange sequence of games. Going for a Roach timing attack, but then only having Roach speed done and armor is still like, I don't know, like a 45 seconds behind it. It's just very, very messy. Now we find ourselves, though, on the Celestial Enclave, and apparently we have ByuN opting to go for the in-base expansion first. A couple of Zerglings out front. Third command center goes up inside of the main base. Rogue already taken the pocket base as well, so fair enough. I have had this experience many times too, though, when playing StarCraft, that at some point, at the end of like a ladder session, you find yourself just pressing buttons. You know, like if you're ever like reading a book and you are actually reading the words, but sometimes you're like 2 pages in and you realize you don't know what you just read? Right? It's a very common experience. You can have the same thing in StarCraft as well. So, pro gamers will still have really good fundamentals that will just happen purely off of muscle memory, but it kind of feels like these last 2 games have been just muscle memory alone. Anyhow, Double engineering bay coming up here for ByuN. We've got some Hellions. Triple command center. Not opting to go for Banshees. You cannot go through that. What? What was even the... Why did he even try? This is a worker-only path. This map has been around for a while at this point. I'm a little surprised ByuN even rallied units perfectly on top of that. That's a bit weird. Maybe it was just checking if there would be like a wall off over here, but Zergs don't do that. I've seen Protoss plug this with like a pylon. I've seen Terrans do the same thing with a supply depot, but never seen Zerg players mess around with it. I guess he was just checking for the creep. Yeah, you know what? That's why he did it. He was just checking for the creep. He just wanted to know whether or not that base was taken. That actually makes more sense. No, never mind, never mind. I thought for a second this was another sleepy moment, but not the case. This was me being the sleepy guy. Armory right now on the back of this here. Very early. We don't have that many Hellions, so Hellbat's not really that great of a strat. Third command citadel. Down onto the low ground here for ByuN. Starport right now on the back of this. Double upgrades in the meantime for Rogue. It's got a drone on idle as well in case he wants to make the full wall off. Blind Spore Crawler's coming up at this point because he hasn't seen much, but he knows that it's very likely going to be some sort of starport play. Now, I don't think he has to be worried about Banshees anytime soon, but Rogue does not know. They're still there. We have a baneling nest. Okay. It looks to me like we're going back to basics. This is all extremely conventional for both players here, but I like seeing it especially from Rogue, because Rogue has just been, yeah, trying to reinvent very common strategies, it seems. Sometimes it's nice to do a little bit of experimentation, right? With your build orders and different builds. What? What are we doing? Just 4 Hellbats? Really? Okay. ByuN is going to move across through the middle of the map, but this has been seen from a mile away. Rogue already preparing with a few banelings. He's got 1-1 upgrades, about to finish up. It's already done, though, for the Terran, so this is a nice push. Medevacs are going to be following this. Ah, we have Mutas now for Rogue. Big counterattack, though. What is this? Wait a second. Why would those... I thought for a minute here that... I backed up like 10 seconds. I thought for a minute here that those SCVs were on idle. Wait, why were they on idle this entire way through? They were already waiting. I guess he pulled them when he saw the Ling run by? Ah, yeah, that's what he did. Okay. I thought for a minute there that he actually had those units on idle the entire way through. Not the case. This is still a nice attack, though, for the Zerg player, and loads of SCVs are going to pay the price. What about the counterattack in the other side of the map? Okay. Easy cleanup. Slow banelings and queens will get the job done, and while eventually everything does get killed, that is 9 drones going down on the, or 9 SCVs rather, going down on the side of the Terran, but very little lost for Rogue. He's now erecting a spire inside of the main base. No defenses for Terran at the minute. We'll probably have to see some missile turrets in a sec, because if he doesn't, then he's suddenly caught off guard against like a dozen Mutalisks. That is going to be the end of the mineral line. Or 2. Or 3. Okay. Hatchery going down in the far bottom right. Creep spread looking nice and juicy here for Rogue as well. ByuN doesn't like it as much as I do, evidently, so he scans and gets rid of a few of them, but immediately new ones will be appearing once more. Now, where are the Mutas? They're coming now. Does ByuN have any idea that this could be coming? Because if you're not prepared, and suddenly those units, well, show up in your bases, that's the first time you see them, you're in so much trouble. He may accidentally see them here, though. They're flying. Ooh. Okay. Rogue doesn't want to be spotted. Okay. He's bunching together over here on the right side of the map. And then we're going to move together as a team. And what is there for ByuN? Spoiler alert, there's nothing. For some reason. What? Hold on. Sorry. He did not see these mutas, so that was not a reactionary lift. He just lifted all of his command centers. I think what happened there is that he tried to turn the 4th command center into a planetary, but he fat-fingered the button. We may be having to deal here with some sleepy professionals. Some very sloppy mistakes across the board, if I'm being honest with you. Roach just seems okay now. Like, Roach made some weird strategic choices in game number 1 and 2. I mean, I didn't like the Evo chamber very much in game 4, but these are uncharacteristic mistakes. Medevac is likely going to fall. No, not quite. He's trying to just somehow get these units away from the Terran's base. 21 SCVs have died, though, in this match, and that is so much. Zerg's economy has been completely unhindered. Loads of bases taken here by Roach. He's gonna go and, yeah, tech up the lair to a hive, and we'll probably see a Ultra Cavern in a little bit. He does have +2 armor done. I would like to see the additional attack upgrade as well for the melee units coming up inside of the Evolution Chamber, but saving maybe a little bit of gas. Trying to go and get those Muta numbers back up again as he's still flying around, trying to be a nuisance. Little baneling roll by, prepared towards this mineral line. Another relatively easy defense, but ones that, yeah, they can slip through the cracks. If ByuN does not see this either and he takes damage from these banes, oh no, ByuN. ByuN. Oh! Welp. That is bad. It's really bad for ByuN. Okay, the only thing ByuN really still has going in this game are these upgrades. The upgrades are well-timed. He also has been dealing with the mutas reasonably well. And he's got a large army. I think like a full 3-3 attack. Oh my god, ByuN! Yo, ByuN is actually just AFK, man. How does the APM end? 407? Feels like it's about 40. No. Rogue. This is the lowest high-level games I've seen in a bit. I don't know what time did these games get played at? This is looking like a 6 a.m.er type of game, you know? Like, it's very messy. I mean, obviously, look, I get that this is for $200, right? These guys have been successful throughout the course of their career. Maybe that's not too meaningful for them. Fair enough. But this kind of feels like we are semi-AFK and we're playing Hearthstone on the second monitor. So, 51 Muta, or sorry, 51 SCVs have died this game. Maybe this is to prove to us, though. And again, I don't mean this with really disrespect. It's just, you know, I notice sometimes people get a little bit touchy whenever I say these sort of things. Like, look, if you know it so well, maybe you should try and play at 6 in the morning. Look, they signed up. I'm just here to cast. Anyways, it's not the cleanest game here for Roach either, but as long as he can deal with this Terran army, I don't think it ever really matters. Sloppy mistakes from ByuN across the board. He still has some really nice units, though, and obviously ByuN has some of the very best micro in the world. +3/+3 is done. We have one massive attack here for Terran, and his army is bigger than that of the Zerg. So if there ever is a time for him to win this game, it could be here. Pre-splitting the units. Deep onto creep. Not a lot of scans available. Widow Mines dealt with reasonably well. They get some good detonations. But this is Roach on 81 workers. So he can replace the lost supply, and he's doing so with Ultralisks. They're coming now. Push in the far bottom right, though. May be able to put in a little bit of work. Fair enough. This game is actually not over. My main concern, I guess, is the Ultralisks. Look at the amount of trades, though. That's the crazy part about it, right? Like, Roach has been dealing so much damage, but he's also lost so many mutas. Oh, Bix around again. Oh, Bix around again. He's stutter stepping the Medevacs. These are Ultras, though, without chitinous plating. Oh, what a mess. What a mess! ByuN, this is a win? Is this a... Hold up. Hold on. Is this a win for Terran, you think? I feel like nothing really has been going ByuN's way. But Roach is doing him a big favor by making Ultralisks and using them before they're actually good. Okay, so... if we zoom out a little bit, right? Where are we currently at? Terran's fully maxed out as far as upgrades go. They've got 4 base economy with a 5th command center coming up, but low worker count. Supply-wise, dead even. Roach, 75 workers is nothing amazing. I think the map in general does make it a little bit more difficult for like a really long late game. Ultras now do have their chitinous plating and 3-3 and all that. Oh, sorry, +2/+3 because he was late on the +2 melee. His 5th command center is going to get targeted down, and it is indeed going to be destroyed. That's a big kill, actually. A big snipe there for Roach. But what we don't have here for the Terran is a transition to Liberators. We do not have a transition here towards Ghosts. So if that's the case, pure Ultra is actually incredibly scary. Pure Ultra is normally kind of bad, but if Terran is not going for any units that are really good against Ultras, it might be doable. More banelings roll through. Ay, ay, ay. 70 SCVs have died. 70. ByuN has decided to never replace lost SCVs, by the way, and I think this is kind of a gangster strat. When you lose the SCVs and you're like, I don't care. I'm just going to replace that supply with more army supply instead. Apparently there was a time for making workers, and that time is in the past. Any lost worker will be replaced with a marine. Pick up your weapons, soldier. We're marching out. Ling run by into the main base. We have a Zerg still on the prowl to be killing some of those workers. Push over here at the front. It's now 140 army supply for Terran. This is a disjointed engagement here for Roach. Eventually, though, the troops will arrive, and like I said, the Ultras, yeah, they don't really have an easy counter here. Drop on the left side, too. ByuN is just refusing now to play anything late game. I mean, it's hard to do on 47 SCVs, fair enough. Fungal! 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 Oh, he doesn't have energy. Oh, he was like 4 energy off, that's why. Oh, no. Oh, no, is ByuN actually doing this? There's no freaking way, dude. There is no freaking way. He decides to move south, kills the base there. Queens are still close by, though, so I think that this indeed will get denied. Transfusions are good. Okay, this is all nice, but I'm still a little bit concerned for the Zerg eco. Roach may have way more drones now, but he doesn't have minerals to really be mining anymore. The Queens are struggling against fully upgraded Marines. Takes them forever. They do not have any attack upgrades that are really, particularly useful. Ultras can only be in so many places at the same time. The medevacs are making this Terran army so mobile. Supply count is still pretty much dead even. So, yeah, I guess it's time to become a nomadic species. Sure, fly the old main base. 200 energy, by the way. 182 energy on the other orbital. 127 over here. He can drop a dozen mules. I don't think that this is a Zerg army that wants to engage off creep. Unless you can get the money fungal. I know there's some Zerg players out there right now that are cringing so hard while watching this. Roach had all the economy in the world. Killed 70 workers. Good upgrades, good tech, good everything. And then you blink twice, and suddenly ByuN seems to be back at it. I think ByuN is making this game extremely hard on himself. Like, he's making it difficult. It really doesn't need to be like this. The early game was kind of messy, and it's why this game is so difficult for him, but he's not in an unplayable position now. Look at the supply count. Roach is actually kind of dead. Unless he gets a bunch of really good fungals off, ByuN is split pushing, so that's always dangerous. You can never really look at the entire army in one go. He does add in one Liberator. Actually, 2 of them. Fungo over here. Wouldn't be a bad idea. Zerg counterattack, though, is really nice here for Rogue. SCVs are thinking about hiding and going through that little way. In the meantime, the push in the bottom right is more successful. Looks like some Fungals over here are nice. Queen's trying to transfuse the Ultras back up to full. Good concave here for the Terran army. Yep. Gets a really good snipe yet again. There's the Fungal, though. Ultras moving out single file. They do close the distance now. And is this what Rogue has been looking for the entire time? It is not good enough. I cannot believe this. But after ByuN lost 70 workers, and after ByuN dealt no damage on the other side of the map at all, he actually clutches a win. And just like that, we find ourselves on Tato Citadel. The Potato Citadel. What is the Potato Citadel of the world? That's what I'm wondering about. We eat a lot of potatoes in the Netherlands. Yeah, there's a lot of potatoes. This is potato country. I know they eat a lot of potatoes as well in Germany, in Ireland. They have loads of potatoes everywhere. Anyhow, the Potato Citadel is generally speaking a pretty nice map. Loads of bases on it. Idaho. I know that Idaho is known for potatoes. I don't know anything else about Idaho. I don't know where it is. Well, I know what country it's in, but I wouldn't be able to point it on a map. The only thing I know about Idaho is that they have potatoes. Anyhow. ByuN showing us in that previous game that Terran has really nice comeback mechanics. Rogue, though, also kind of helping out in that regard a little bit. He really let those medevacs get out of control. If you don't have any Corruptors, if you don't have any Hydras, and you're not chipping away at those medevacs over time, you don't have to, like, really make, like, a committed squad to kill the medevacs, but some, like, any form of anti-air at all is extremely beneficial for Zerg, just to make sure that those medevacs don't constantly just heal the units up and reposition the Terran army. And then obviously, secondly, the big comeback mechanic there for ByuN is those yellow mining machines. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, I can't really point out a lot of the American states, I'm afraid. I mean, I know quite a few of them, but mostly the ones on the outskirts, you know? Like, once we go to the middle of the country, I'm sorry, but I have no idea. I know where Iowa is, but that's because Rushy is from Iowa. And I know that Idaho grows potatoes because Rushy told me. He told me Iowa makes corn and Idaho makes potatoes. Well, that's about all I know. Oh, I don't know of Casey's. Do they have Casey's in Idaho? I've never been to Casey's, but I've been told their breakfast pizza is incredible. Which is very interesting as a European, hearing that a gas station pizza is considered to be amazing. I don't know, one day I'll have Casey's pizza and I'm going to be very disappointed. But until that day, I will live with the knowledge that Casey's pizza is the best thing that you can get in Idaho. Or Iowa. Maybe in Idaho too, who knows. Anyways. Honestly, if they don't have Casey's in Idaho, I don't think I would ever want to go. What's the point? I have potatoes right here. All right, anyways, Lair coming up. +1 Carapace once more researching for Rogue. He does like to go for the second gas, guys, pretty early on, I've noticed. Most Zerg players delay the second gas for quite a while. Rogue pretty much always reliably gets it early on. It's a bit weird because he doesn't go for the double upgrades immediately. Very disjointed. Anyways, this is a lot more normal, right? Like going Lair and then a delayed Baneling Nest, it means that you can go Baneling speed as soon as the Baneling Nest is done. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, believe it or not, ByuN is making the transition to a brand new unit. This unit is called the Siege Tank. Crazy stuff. He's been favoring Widow Mines so far. Raynor taught me that these units are great at pounding stalkers. He teaches you that in the Dig, in the Wings of Liberty campaign. He doesn't tell me about having to research the siege mode research, though. Apparently in StarCraft 2, that's no longer necessary. Did you know in the early days of StarCraft 2, actually, just like in Brood War, you had to research siege mode? No machine shop, but it was in the tech lab. Anyhow, ByuN going for a nice little push here. And this is, of course, before baneling speed is done. It's one of the downsides of getting that quick +1 carapace, but at least the +1 carapace will be finished. And that's going to make the defense way easier here. Those Terran units are not going to deal nearly as much damage, especially the Marines. Although the siege tank also, needs to be retargeting. Okay, it does get retargeted there eventually. Banelings trying to close the distance, and this is a very clean defense, all things considered here for Roach. Yeah. That's a lot of queens, by the way. He's got 13 queens. He's making more. Wait, what? We're going 15 queens? Look, I know they're good. And I know Brenda is the hottest StarCraft 2 unit of them all. But that's a lot of queens. Some people will say Kerrigan or Nova. I say Brenda. Naturally. Yeah, I know Tosh is also a fan favorite. Fair. Hive coming up here in a moment for Roach, who will probably be going into Ultras again, right? It's really the only reason to be going for a single Evo chamber and prioritizing Carapace. Look how many queens there are. There's so much energy on those queens. 15 queens is honestly kind of sick. Okay, make it 14. Make it maybe 13. I still feel like something like Hydras, though, would be beneficial. Queen DPS is very limited. See how hard they're having a time here to try and kill the tank. Absolute bloodbath here. There's the Hive. ByuN a little bit delayed on the second engineering bay upgrade, but he does get it going here eventually. Third command center flies on over. Very delayed third command center, of course, as well. This push that ByuN was going for was a committed bit of aggression early on, and it didn't really achieve that much. Not the end of the world, of course, for Terran, but I don't think that was really the amount of damage he was hoping for. He was hoping for a little bit more than that. And I mean, if you are trying to defend against anything Terran, queens are really just incredible in the early game. If we look at the resources lost right now, not too shabby. Zerg losing a little bit more, but that's to be expected. Men with gun, very good. One cheeky liberator over here. Getting more damage done than it really is supposed to. In the meantime, the push over here. Oh! No, ByuN. Oh my god, ByuN's doing it again. Okay. No, he's fine. He's fine. Roach is going to be fine, but that was really expensive. The SCV that was building up the fourth command center does get killed. No worries. He got replaced. A couple of Vipers here. Really? So we go Vipers first before Adrenal Glands? Before an Ultra Cavern? I mean, against siege tanks, they are really nice, but look at Rogue's worker count now. We're at 56. Hoping for some lucky baneling connections can always be a winning strat. But I feel like hoping you get lucky is not ideal. Matter of fact, drop is going to continue right behind the mineral line. Push is going to continue in the middle of the map. And ByuN is just doing ByuN things. He's just having a good time microing Marines inside of Medivacs. Bringing a bunch of other units with him as well, fair enough. Oh! Ghost Academy! First Ghost Academy in this best of 9. This is game 6. That's crazy. Yeah, Rogue is actually in a world of trouble. Rogue is not in a good spot here whatsoever. As we've already learned throughout these games, Zerg is incredibly cost inefficient, so they just lose way more. But usually the reason why that's okay, of course, is that Zerg has a bigger eco. At this point, Terran has the bigger economy while being more cost effective. And while it's okay for Rogue for the time being, and maybe Vipers can sort of change the resources lost and make it a little bit less lopsided, but this is not good for Zerg at all. This is also not a Zerg unit composition that can trade effectively. Unless you get the juiciest baneling hits of your life, you're never really going to be able to find a cost-effective trade. And against somebody like ByuN, it should never happen. ByuN always is microing Marines. Yeah, so many links dying. And you know what? The siege tank transition is working out way better. Maybe the end of the Widow Mine has come. Maybe we're siege tank people now. Interestingly enough, the one game where I feel like ByuN could skip out on the ghosts is when he makes them. He assumes here that this is going to be a transition towards either lurkers or either lurkers or ultralisks. We will be going to lurkers eventually, but these are incredibly late. Rogue's creep spread, though, is looking really nice. Triple command center on the back of this as well for ByuN. I don't know if he realizes how much damage he actually did on the other side of the map, because he is playing a big transition now to the late game, and it almost feels a little unnecessary, because he's done so much damage. Playing it a little safer now. This does give Rogue, though, a road back into the match. Rogue has been redroning up. His economy is good enough now to indeed consider lurkers. Double Evo chamber upgrades are going to be done in a moment. We're going to get the Hydras fully upgraded. I mean, that's going to all make things a lot more manageable for the Zerg. Now, we all know what happens in the late game for Rogue, right? In late game ZVT, Rogue loves making overseers. I think he needs more money. Oh, no. Oh, no. I just saw 6 overlords on the production tab. I wonder if that's what we're doing. This is a conservative amount. Maybe ByuN kind of hates playing against it, right? Like, maybe that's one of the reasons why he's been so aggressive in general, trying to prevent this type of late game. But given the chance, Rogue will strike. And while I think this is kind of ByuN's game to lose, because he was so far ahead earlier. This really was a phenomenal spot for the Terran. I don't really mind this position that much anymore for Rogue. He's still a few minutes away, I think, from being comfortable, but this is very winnable. Personal cloaking coming up for the ghosts. Blinding clouds go down onto the siege tanks. That base in the far bottom left is not going to happen. And suddenly, yeah, the Zerg army is crashing through. Push up north. This one is effective. A couple of burrowed banelings here for Rogue, but no council on the hatch. Base in the middle. Ambitiously positioned, let's say. Yeah, so in case you haven't seen a whole lot of the late game that Rogue has been playing, he loves going for, I want to say, like literally 50 to 60 overseers. He seems to cut it at about 60. That's only in the type of games, though, where he has infinite income, and he's not really in a position for that. Ooh, he's being baited. Not quite far enough. If you can get up to 50 overseers, he can effectively drop so many changelings onto the floor and force some of them to go through the cracks. So if you go into double Nidus Worm, for example, you can pretty much always figure out a way to get those changelings into the soft underbelly of the Terran player. Now, it's very costly, but once you make the overseers, I mean, they usually don't die that quickly, and you get just free units on energy. And Terran players have rage quit against it a bunch. I'm still not convinced it's a great build. None of the other top-level Zerg players are playing it. Other than Scarlet. We saw Scarlet recently give it a shot as well. Oh, big push over here, though. Blinding clouds yet again onto the siege tanks, but look at the spread. There are so many tanks available and not enough blinding clouds. The banelings are rolling through. Is this still good enough, though, for Rogue? Ooh, he dashes with the Hydras now, too. Okay. The push up north continues. but ByuN lost an awful lot of supply. Okay, he does equalize, I guess, a little bit here by killing another hatch. That's nice. 21 siege tanks have died. +3 armor is really good on the Zerg army, right? It does make the defense a lot more manageable. I think that's another medevac or two falling. Terran tried to take this base in the far bottom left a few minutes back. Now suddenly Rogue has decided that, you know what, maybe he can get the job done. ByuN, though, arrives right when the hatchery finishes. No more time to cancel. And while Lynx are running back in this direction, this hatchery is going to be bruised by the time they get here. Push in the middle of the map. Couple of snipies. Siege tank numbers, though, have dwindled. There are still quite a few of them out, I suppose, but this is a good fight, though, for ByuN. He's getting pushed back, but a lot of the Hydras are being invited. Oh, man, there's so many more. I didn't realize how many there were. There's 29 Hydralisks. Oh, that's so intimidating, right, when they use the dash? Moving off creep again. We've seen a fight in this exact same spot not too long ago. This time around, though, there's not as many siege tanks really helping. Not as many blinding clouds really helping either. Yeah, that's the problem. Rogue, while in a good position, overextends here off creep. He knows that the base is going to be dying next, and he has not really got a solution. I think he should have been slightly more patient. Trying to fight through that corridor, right? This choke point multiple times in a row. I mean, it worked the first time, but only because of the blinding clouds. Now we push through the choke point, we show up late with the Vipers, and then the siege tanks are already tearing you apart. Maybe the siege tank numbers were slightly lower, but ByuN was pumping them out 3 at a time. He gets the win because of it. Alrighty, we go to the Old Republic. And apparently ByuN is willing to put it all on the line with one cheeky build, and Rogue sees it immediately. This is really bad. Really, really, really bad for Terran. The boys are going in. Now, they're not going to wave hello. They're not going to be there just to say, yo, how are you doing? Good to see you here. No, they are drones on a mission. They're going to be killing SCVs. And while this will be a bit costly for the Zerg, right? A lot of lost mining time. This is going to have to get cancelled. A disaster. Oh, we go command center first. Sure. I mean, this feels illegal, but sure. You saved 450 minerals to go for triple proxy wrecks. So instead we play command center first. Okay. Oh. For some reason, one drone was chasing this down, and Rogue has got to spot the command center now. It feels illegal. Like, this is definitely a gray zone. I think Rogue does indeed get the option here to say a couple of Korean swear words. I think I've learned all the Korean swear words I know from watching Parting stream back in the day. Very educational in that regard. I don't know what Parting does these days. I don't really think he streams a lot, or maybe it's at times that I don't know. But he would get quite upset from time to time playing StarCraft 2. Yeah, bit of a universal experience, I think. Most people tend to get a little upset from time to time playing StarCraft 2. So, what was starting off rather as a complete cheese from ByuN is now turning into a macro game, with Zerg going really fast triple hatch, and Terran going for a really fast command center first. Yeah, last thing I heard from Parting is that he was really keen on trying out to become like a professional Stormgate player, but obviously that game kind of fell flat, and maybe at some point it'll come back, I don't know, who knows. But it's a little bit quiet in RTS land at the moment. There are some promising games on the horizon and some games that look very interesting, but yeah, when you take a step back from StarCraft 2, and you don't compete for some time, well, the people that do actively play, they just pull further and further and further ahead. And while maybe it sometimes feels like the meta doesn't move that quickly, there's so many changes, so many little things that still do get adjusted over time. And yeah, you can, obviously, you never forget how to ride a bicycle, right? Once you've learned it once, but being able to beat the top 0.001% is not so easy. Double engineering bay right now. I can't believe that ByuN actually just completely flipped the script, by the way. Like, this was supposed to be a cheese, and then he made it like a macro cheese. Command center on the low ground is not going to happen for the time being, but it did already finish. Obviously, ByuN still lost so much time, right? Like, this was a hatchery first build from Rogue, and while ByuN did make it a command center first, it all is incredibly delayed. And you can see that reflected here in the worker count. Normally, Zerg doesn't have this many Zerglings. I think you commit. I think you fight. No, I think you go. Oh, you don't go? I think you go. Yeah, okay, you do go. Ah, the SCVs, the drone drilling or the SCV drilling is good. So what he's doing is he's right-click spamming them onto the mineral line. And then he attack moves, and then he selects them all again and spams them with a right-click, and then he attack moves, and you end up in a situation where 0 workers are killed. It's a cheeky little micro trick where the units... So, obviously there is, like, unit collision, right? But when SCVs, drones, or probes are mining, they are basically on, like... They're able to glide all over each other without ever interrupting one another, because otherwise the mineral lines would just be a mess. So, mining workers in StarCraft 2, yeah, they can overlap. 4th hatchery now because of it for Rogue, who's going into a lair. We have the first factory coming up here for ByuN. So this is a factory and then 5 barracks. Starport incredibly late. We'll get medevacs out eventually. I still don't love this spot for ByuN. But this is the type of micro, right? You look at from the Terran and you're like, okay, now we still have to respect it. We can't really just go in and hope for the best. They call him Micro Jackson for a reason. And while sometimes ByuN does get a little tunnel visioned, we've seen that as well throughout these games. When there's something to be microed, he will try his best. Yeah, I'm hoping at some point they can make Stormgate as good as it was promised to be. But sadly, and I've rambled about this at length on stream, so I don't really want to go into it again, but maybe one day it'll be really good, and I'm more than keen to go ahead and check it out, but trying to beat a game like StarCraft is not so easy. I know there's still stuff that is being worked on, but the weird thing about it, right, is that last time I tried 1v1 in Stormgate, it was actually very promising. Like, it wasn't as good as StarCraft 2, but it was very promising. My main concern, I guess, is that they called it a 1.0 release when it really felt like it was an early access. Like, if that was the early access they launched with, I think people would have lost their minds. Because it genuinely felt really good. Anyways. I'm going down the rabbit hole again. Before you know it, I'm going to be ranting for the next half hour. We're not doing that right now. It has a lot of potential, but certainly some mismanagement. Anyways. ByuN going up north. That's the difficult thing, right? StarCraft 2 is just such a freaking good game. It's been 16 years since the release. But nothing feels quite as good. There's so many queens again. We're up to 13 queens once more. So that is at least 6 queens more than you normally... it kind of depends on the style you want to play as Zerg, but we don't normally see Zerg go above 10 queens. 7, 8, 9 is a little bit more standardized. But Roach is just adding them in, and I don't really mind it. So, It's very weird because Roach is denying himself banelings. It's almost like he's trying a banelingless challenge. He's getting it now eventually, but this is not a very quick hive. So what are we really gaining, right? Like, what is the purpose of skipping out banelings when we're not really... Now we're going Spire too? He's playing Mutaling Bane in the slowest way possible. I guess, though, Roach has learned from these games that Ultra bad. No, we're also going Ultras. Wait, is this actually not Mutaling Bane? Is it Ultraling Bane with Corruptors? I don't know. I think that probably is what it is. Weird, though. Strange way of getting here. ByuN going in for a move in the top left. Can't believe this game actually turned out to be this, man. It's kind of crazy, right? Like, the game started off with a proxy Rex, and now we're here. Big macro game. Now, I do like this position better for Roach across the board. My only concern here is that he's going Ultras. And Ultras are very finicky units. Those Widowmines are also getting some good damage in. Oh, yeah, hatchery dies over here. Now, there is another hatchery building right next to it. Fungal growth yet again, but it doesn't deal much damage anymore. Still a little bit. Oh. Fungling the Medifex so they can't save these units? I mean, they could have saved the units. They just saw the plane fly by. Poor Marines and Marauder. For some reason, we're building the command centers here in the most exposed location possible. I don't really know why. ByuN works in mysterious ways. No planetary, by the way, on the 4th. It's also a little funky. ByuN just going full orbital command instead. The little chompers are out. Chitinous plating is going to be done in a moment. We did not go for... Yeah, we did not yet get the +3 armor done, but it will be finished in a moment here. In about a half minute time, maybe a full minute time, those Ultras are going to be big and beefy. Right now, they're still a little... Yeah, a little That's how I feel about them. ByuN does go for a second starport. I would imagine there's going to be a reactor here to build up the Liberator count again. But this could be one of those games where ByuN decides to just never make a proper counter to Ultras. And if that's the case, I think Roach has a real shot. Nope, we're going libs. There is already a Spire, though, and +1 flyer attacks is nearly done before any sort of Corruptor is out. I think it's a good idea, actually, for Roach. Just mix in, like, maybe like 6 to 9 or so Corruptors. I think that's nice, just to chip away at the Liberators, to chip away at the Medifex. Drop in the main base. Queens derping into one another. They're trying their best, though. And this has actually turned into a massive macro game now. It's kind of crazy how quickly the game swapped, right? Here's the Ultras, though. And now with the Ultras out, I mean, Marauders are so good, man. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, Ultras aren't terrible, though. They're just not very Ultra. They're more like mediocre. Mediocre Lisk doesn't really roll off the tongue as well. But they're trying their best. They are denying the bases really well, though. And ByuN's economy is good, but not amazing. It's mostly the amount of mineral lines that he's currently covering. And, ooh, this is all wide open. Like I said, no planetaries everywhere, and he may actually pay the price. Bunch of infestors coming in around the site here. Yeah, no planetary in the middle is crazy to me. So greedy from ByuN. No real reason as to why. So many workers die immediately, too. Liberators are coming up. We have a Corruptor on the production tab now for Roach. Maybe a few more is a good idea. Fungo over here. Not too shabby. And I think because of the planetary, or the lack thereof, this game is really good now for Rogue. I can't believe that we didn't make the planetary. It doesn't make any sense. He's not made a single one, has he? No, he's got 6 orbital commands right now. Maybe he's gonna try and turn this one into a planetary, but there's a reason that normally the 4th base is also a planetary fortress. Good denial by Rogue, who's getting a lot more reinforcements in, and I think he'll be ready to go for a push. Corruptors are now available, right? And that will make life way better. Zergling run by over at the 3rd. Zergling run by over at the 4th. SCVs are forced to run away. Fight deep onto creep, but the Zerg army is coming in from the back. Oh no. Worst case scenario right here for ByuN. GG. Okay, next up. Match point number 2 right here for ByuN. We find ourselves on 10,000 feet. Honestly, the fact that the game even got to that point, though, is kinda nuts. ByuN really was far behind. Even though the Command Center first follow-up feels really greedy, I think ByuN honestly played that out really well. Like, you're effectively delayed by, like, maybe 45 seconds or so in the early game, which is just massive. Being able to then continue from that point and actually, bring it up to a macro game. I mean, he had to cut some corners and be pretty greedy, but the fact that ByuN even pulled that off in the first place is very impressive. Strange little build over here as well, though. So this is a normal opener, but then with a quick second barracks in the main base. Very fast stimpack research. Not a single GLHF, by the way, in any of these games, right? All we've seen is GG. I think. Probably. Just noteworthy, I think, because ByuN is usually a bit of a yapper. ByuN usually loves drinking tea at the beginning of the game. Do they drink a lot of tea in Korea? I don't know. Quick Roach Warren right here for Rogue. But he's making drones with it. Very quick lair on the back of this as well. No Evo chamber. So is this just going to be... Like, are we going to go into like a quick Roach speed build again? Like, what is this? Maybe it's just Roaches for safety, but... No Evo Chamber, no Baneling Nest. Now we go Evo Chamber again. Is this similar to the +1 armor attack that he did on Tourmaline? So he went for like a Roach speed push with +1 armor, but +1 armor wasn't done in time. This looks very similar to that. We're making the Roaches again. He's got one cheeky Spore Crawler inside of the main base. We've got a handful of queens available. Only 5 this time around, not 15. Here's ByuN, though, going in for a push. Roaches are, of course, really good at holding these type of aggression, or these types of aggression. Nice little 2-base opener as well, though, for ByuN. No 3rd command center on the back of this. This is full aggression now. Fighting on creep with 2 medevacs. I mean, this is basically the 16 Marine opener. It's 5 minutes and 10 seconds in, except we are 21 Marines deep. And that means there's no room in the plane for you guys. I'm sorry. This is an old school build with a new school execution, and it hits like 20 seconds earlier, man. This is hard. Roaches are not able to really catch up. Drones are being produced. Rogue doesn't seem to care much about this build. He never used the Evo chamber, by the way. Yeah, men with gun, really good, man. He's also got +1 attack coming up real early on the back of this with Stimpack, not too far off. These Marines are putting in a lot of work. I'm guessing that these Roaches, by the way, are just made as like a stepping stone. He wants to go into Hive. He wants to go into Ultras eventually. But ByuN is going to be able to reign the skies again, right? Rule the skies for a long time. Here's another follow-up push coming in. Third command center now coming up, but this is an interesting one, though, for ByuN. Very weird build. A 2-base opener with a third command center on the back of it. And then just so many Marines and tanks. So the normal 16 Marine opener, if you remember that one from back in the day, it would hit at about 510 with perfect execution and then 16 Marines. ByuN did the same thing here, but then with 21 Marines. He got himself an additional 5. And those Marines are well upgraded now. The drones have to be pulled to try and keep this base alive. But I'm a little bit worried. This is just a good old Marine opener. It's very old school, but with pretty much perfect execution. I was questioning some of ByuN's decisions earlier on in these games, but this right here got the job done perfectly. Okay. It seems like the energy levels kind of, you know, they came and they went down a little bit again throughout the series. But ByuN ends on a high note here as he takes down Rogue 5-3 in this best-of-9 show match. Well done by him. There were a couple of, like when we were in the third map of the series, there were a couple of questionable errors on honestly both sides, but especially on ByuN's end. I was starting to get a little bit concerned, but he ultimately managed this, well, final all-in very nicely. And I think if you're actually trying to get better in TVZ, this is the type of all-in, this type of, I guess it's not really an all-in. This is the type of Terran early game aggression that you can definitely study and incorporate into your own matches, because it seems to hit Rogue way off guard.